Here, 2 men are killed by trees in Storm Darragh as strong winds and heavy rain continue across the UK.
Gusts of 93 miles an hour in some parts of northern Wales yesterday. Certainly a lot calmer than that today, but a yellow weather warning is still in place.
And it's still very blustery with spells of rain in the south and the east today, but a lot calmer further north and west. There'll even be some sunshine for some. I'll have all the details later.
And the government will be given the power to bypass council planning committees in England under plans to make it easier to build new homes.
Start with the weather, which has been making headlines for the last day or so. As the clean-up from Storm Darragh continues, the UK is bracing for more strong winds. A yellow warning comes into force across England and Wales later, which could mean further disruption, as Darragh Talwar reports.
Millions were told to expect significant disruption, and that's exactly what Storm Darragh delivered. Ferocious winds topping 90 miles per hour in some areas of Wales caused chaos, battering this iconic Victorian pier, which had been standing strong for 150 years.
We got up to, like everybody else, a nightmare, really. And to see the damage and how rough the weather's been has really shocked us. And it's heart-wrenching.
Wales saw the brunt of the storm, with Dyfed-Powys police declaring a major incident.
I think we shouldn't be complacent. There's a lot more to come for the rest of the weekend. It looks like the worst part is over, but there's still very, very high winds, more rain to come, and people should be very, very careful.
Here in Lancashire, a man died after a tree fell on his van. Another man in Birmingham also died after a similar incident. With just a few weeks before Christmas, many businesses have had to close their doors, and festive markets and events have been cancelled. The storm caused widespread disruption to travel on the road, rails and air. Network Rail says many of their services have been affected.
We're trying our hardest to do what we can, and I'm sorry for people whose travel plans were disrupted. I recognise it's an exciting time in the run up to Christmas and people at the weekend will be travelling to see family, so please accept my apologies for that.
Flood warnings remain in place this morning across large parts of England and Wales. Storm Darragh is the fourth named storm of this season. The newly appointed head of the Climate Change Committee has warned we should prepare for more extreme weather like this to continue.
Climate impacts in the UK will look like more rain, so wetter weather, which is terrible news, and also slightly warmer across all the seasons, so less of that seasonal swing, plus more extremes, so heat waves in the summer, but also storms like this in the winter, and we have to prepare for it.
The rare red weather warning may be over, but the fallout from the storm is likely to be felt across the country well beyond the weekend. Darragh Talwar, BBC News.
Some real scenes of devastation in different parts of the country. Let's go to North Wales. As Darragh said, it was badly hit in different places. Ollie Constable is there for us, as you can see. Ollie, just bring us up to date. Obviously, sun not up yet, but what's the latest there? Is it any better?
It's a lot better here today than it was yesterday. We saw those gusts of 93 miles an hour in some parts of northern Wales following that red weather warning. Today there is a yellow weather warning in place, but certainly not as bad as what we saw yesterday. Here in Llandudno, the pier just off to my right-hand side saw extensive damage yesterday. We spoke to one person this morning who told us that it took a battering as parts of the units were thrown against each other, some huts being ripped from their foundations. We saw lead roofs as well being ripped apart as well. So lots of damage being caused there. We've heard of 2 people who have died, those people in Preston and Lancashire. Both were hit by falling trees while they were in their vehicles. And we've also heard as well of loads of homes being without power. Even this morning, 250,000 or so still without power. But you can tell that there is still quite a lot of wind here, but certainly not as bad as that red weather warning that we had yesterday.
And parts of England and Wales have been hit by floods as the tail end of Storm Darragh brought more rain and high winds today. More than 160,000 people nationwide are still without power.
High winds and rain have continued to batter London, causing major disruption. The after effects of Storm Darragh led to some flights and trains being cancelled and also brought down trees. While a Met Office weather warning is still in place until this evening, Layla Hayes has been looking at the impact.
Another day and Storm Darragh continues to cause havoc. This tree blocking the old Brompton Road in Kensington after falling straight into people's homes.
My neighbour's car was only about a yard away.
Kamala Hooja has lived here for more than 30 years. His house almost directly opposite where the tree fell.
Had the tree fallen on the other side, I think the devastation would have been that much greater. I'm sorry that the other house now is affected badly, but at least it's still not as bad as it could have been had the tree fallen the other way.
Thankfully, no one was injured when the tree came down here, but it does raise questions about the safety of the trees so close to people's houses here. Kensington and Chelsea councils say they've been knocking on doors and reassuring residents.
It's very frightening, and they'll need to look at all these trees much more carefully. And also anybody who tries to cable under.
Easy, 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 easy.
Throughout the weekend, planes have struggled to land at London's airports, with a number of flights cancelled at both Heathrow and City.
It's blustery, isn't it?
And there have been problems for train passengers too, with major disruption of Victoria Station today due to a signalling fault and delays at Waterloo, thanks to yet more fallen trees.
Was it windy last night?
This tree fell straight into a garden in East London, thankfully causing minimal damage. Forecasters say the weather will be calmer next week, but for now, the clear-up continues. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
There are strong winds across much of the UK in the wake of Storm Darragh. A yellow weather warning for powerful gusts is in place for England and Wales. There's continuing travel disruption and thousands of homes remain without power, as Simon Jones explains.
Storm Darragh isn't quite done with us yet. Destructive winds near Solihull, also felt in East London.
There was a lot of noise and some wind, and the garden's being rearranged.
Gusts of 50 miles an hour. Seaham Harbour in County Durham was feeling the full force of the weather. In Blandford in Dorset, this webcam captures a flash in the sky and houses lose power. Hundreds of thousands of homes have been left without electricity. Hundreds of flood warnings and alerts remain in place. With so many trees down, getting around to fix the problems hasn't been easy. And for people trying to travel, this wasn't the sign passengers wanted to see at Longbridge Station. Network Rail is reporting significant disruption across the country. On the North Wales coast, the continued bad weather has been hampering any clean-up. This pier is unlikely to open fully before the new year.
Best described as biblical damage, near enough. It's gut-wrenching. A lot of people put a lot of time and effort into the pier. They've been here for several years working on here. They've got their shop owners as well.
In Hornsea, not snow, but sea foam. But the buffering is finally coming to an end. Much calmer weather is forecast for the coming week. Simon Jones, BBC News.
Let's go live to David Grundy, who's in Cardiff for us. David, a pretty lousy weekend where you are. How's it looking for the rest of tonight and indeed tomorrow?
Well, Clive, it's much calmer now that Storm Darragh has swept through, but it's the trail of destruction it's left that is still causing problems. Councils have spent the day clearing away fallen trees that have been blocking hundreds of roads across the country, as well as assessing damage to buildings and schools. Transport for Wales has had to cancel 130 services today across the country, mainly on the longer distance services, and they say those cancellations and delays are likely to continue tomorrow. A handful of schools have already said they'll be closed in the morning. A lot of homes are still without power, as we heard in Simon's report, some 66,000 in total. SP Manweb, which covers North and Mid Wales, says it's got about 18,000 homes without power there. Getting to the power lines that have come down is the problem. They've had to draft in engineers from Merseyside and Scotland to help. There are 9 flood warnings and 16 flood alerts in place. Storm Darragh may have gone, Clive, but the destruction it's left, well, that'll take a little bit longer to clear.